Good evening out there. How you guys doing? This is Mike Mel back with Soberheadz podcast on this nice Sunday night. How you guys doing out there? I hope you had a beautiful day today. Yeah, I did a lot of running around, hit the gym, went down to my old hometown, did some running around, handled some business, went to see my mom, all of the things that I usually try to do on Sunday to get some stuff done. Tonight I wanted to dig into the Living Sober book. And if guys don't know, it's one of the literatures that we have in AA, Living Sober, and it basically goes through different scenarios that tend to come into our lives when we're trying to live in sobriety. So they came up with a book. It's a real thin softback book called Living Sober, but it has so much important information in there because it tells you how to tackle the everyday life when you're trying to be sober. And it's not easy. You run into different things. You run into what to do when the so-called holidays that a lot of you guys celebrate when they come around, the different festivals in the summer, the what to do at weddings, what to do when you are forced to be in certain situations that are very uncomfortable. So the Living Sober book actually is a good tool to read because it talks about the best ways to live sober. So tonight we're going to start from the beginning of the book. And one of the first chapters it has in the book is called Staying Away from the First Drink, which is essential when you're in recovery because we all know you pick that first one up and it's over. Everything you worked for, everything you thought about, everything that you had up to that point, it's gonna be gone as soon as you sip that first drink, because that allergy is gonna come back, that obsession is gonna come back, and then everything is gonna be downhill again. So we're gonna read through the first chapter. It's not that long, so we're gonna read through it, and I'm gonna give some commentary on the different parts of it that I can relate to. So we're going to get started. And I want to thank all you guys for coming on again to go through this chapter with me and just to hear about sobriety. It's not a popular subject for people, so I don't take your presence for granted. I want to thank you guys for coming on and going through this with me. It's called Staying Away from the First Drink. Expressions expressions commonly heard in AA are: if you don't take the first drink, you can't get drunk. And one drink is too many, but 20 are not enough. And that's definitely true because that first drink is what actually gets you drunk because it sets the tone for the next one. It hits that button to make you want to require another one and another one and another one. So it's not the fifth one that got you drunk, it's actually the first one. And then that one drink is too many, but 20 are not enough. Yeah, because once you take that one, it's not going to be enough until you pass out. Then you go over, you can never fill that hole up that's inside of you because it's really a spiritual hole. It's not a physical hole. You just think the alcohol is doing the job, but we're really spiritually bankrupt. So that's why we need this other spirit to put in our body to try to hold us over. And at first it seems like it's working, and then it just turns on you, and then it just takes everything out. Many of us, when we first began to drink, never wanted or took more than one or two drinks. But as time went on, was we increased the number. Then in later years, we found ourselves drinking more and more. Some of us getting and staying very drunk. Maybe our condition didn't always show in our speech or our gait, but by this time we were never actually sober. Wow. And that's true right there because I started out years ago taking one or two drinks, and then it grew, the increased number grew. Then years later, I definitely found myself drinking more and more. But when I was in public, I was good at being able to hide it because I knew I had a reputation to protect in terms of being a teacher and doing basketball spotlight. But in essence, um, I never wanted to be sober after that. Then it starts to be uncomfortable being sober, and that's when you know it got you. When it starts to be uncomfortable being sober. If that bothered us too much, we would cut down or try to limit ourselves to just one or two, or switch from hard liquor to beer to wine. At least we tried to limit the amount so we would not get too disastrously tight, or we tried to hide how much we drank. Wow. Hit me hard from that. I tried doing I'm just gonna drink one or two. That definitely didn't work. Then I went from hard liquor to beer, wine. Next thing you know, the I tried to drink, just go on the sangria diet. Next thing you know, I had to sneak a little bit of that Ciroc inside the sangria, and then next thing you know, I'm back to the regular Ciroc all over again. So that didn't work neither. But this is definitely the real. Like, we try to hide how much we drink, hide in bottles, trying to just drink more at home than you do outside the house. All those different things that the true alcoholics out there that know, or people that's in recovery too that know what I'm talking about, because we all tried it. But all these measures got more and more difficult occasionally. We even went on a wagon and did not drink at all for a while. I could never really go on a wagon once I got going. So I can't really relate to that part because I was gone. Eventually, we would go back to drinking, just one drink. And since that apparently did no serious damage, we felt that it was safe to have another. Maybe that was all we took on that occasion. And it was a great relief to find out we could just take one or two, then stop. Some of us did that many times. Wow. After my first trip to rehab, I started out doing that. And like they said, it worked for a little bit, but then it didn't work for long enough though, because I just went back and it was worse. But the experience proved to be snare. It persuaded us that we could drink safely. And then there would come the occasion, some special celebration, a personal loss, or no particular event at all, when two or three made us feel fine. So we thought that two or more could not hurt. And with absolutely no intention of doing so, we found ourselves again drinking too much. We were right back where we had been, over drinking without really wanting to. Yep. And that's when you start to go out and you start doing your thing and you can't even really understand that, wow, how did I get back to the same position again? And it was because you didn't stay away from the first drink. We couldn't stay away from that first one because we, in our mind, tells us that, man, I just did like 2 or 3 months. When I came out of rehab, I had just did about 3, 4 months without drinking. So of course I could drink safely again, but that was fool's gold. I could never drink safely ever again. Such repeated experiences have forced us to be logical and escapable conclusion. If we do not take the first drink, we can never get drunk. Therefore, instead of planning never to get drunk or trying to limit the number of drinks or the amount of alcohol, we have learned to concentrate on avoiding only one drink, the first one. And I try to do all I can to avoid that first drink. I'm very serious about being in people, places, and things, being around certain events. Uh, Even when I go to restaurants, I sit in certain places. There's no need for me to want to sit by the bar and close to everybody that's drinking. I make sure I tell the waitresses and the people at the bar that's serving us that night that I don't what's up, Mo? How you doing, sis? That I don't drink any kind of alcohol, because I don't want no bartender at the bar to put in think they doing me a favor and pour me a little shot inside of the alcohol. No, I don't want none of that. So I make sure I tell the waitress, listen, I'm in recovery. I can't have no kind of alcohol in my drinks, especially if I order some kind of like lemonade or strawberry lemonade. I don't want them trying to do me no favors. So I make sure I tell them, please, no alcohol. I'm in recovery. And some people might think that's doing too much, but not for me. Nah, I make sure I let it be known by them because I don't want no problems. I remember hearing a story about a guy went in a casino and he ordered a tonic and water or something like that, and they gave him vodka by mistake, and he had 20 years. Nah, I ain't trying to go down that road. So nah, I'm good off that. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds in effect, instead of worrying about the limited number of drinks that end of our drinking episode, we avoid the drink that starts it. Such repeated experience has forced us to logic. Yeah, okay. Therefore, instead of planning never to get drunk or trying to limit the number of drinks or the amount of alcohol, we have learned to concentrate on avoiding only the one drink, the first one. In effect, instead of worrying about the number of limiting the number of drinks at the end of the drinking episode, we avoid the one that starts it. Sounds almost foolishly simplistic, doesn't it? It's hard for many of us now to believe that we never figured this out for ourselves before we came to AA. Of course, to tell the truth, we never really wanted to give up drinking altogether, either until we learned about the alcoholism. But the main point is, we know now that is what it works. They not lying, man. I remember like it was tough because I used to think about not wanting to drink, but then the hard part is I couldn't even imagine life without drinking. I couldn't imagine going to different places and not have alcohol. I couldn't imagine going to Super Bowl parties or the holidays when I used to celebrate that stuff, or being in the 4th of July's, the cookouts, the summertime, the anywhere I went, they had alcohol. So once you build a life like that, it's hard to picture life without it. Like, how would I be able to enjoy things? What would I be able to do? Like, that's how much alcohol consumed my life that I started to think like I didn't know what I was gonna do without it. It had been so long since I went down that road of not drinking that I had got consumed with having alcohol all the time. And once you get to that point, it's hard to stop because you then warped your mind so much you can't picture life without it. What do I do now if I can't pick up? And you don't really realize how much time you spend preparing to drink, drinking, and coming down off the alcohol until you got to fill that time up. When I came home from rehab the second time and I was serious, I said, wow, I didn't realize how much time I spent drinking until I had to fill all that time up. So I was going to like 4 or 5 meetings a day because I had spent so much time drinking and doing stuff I had no business doing, and I had to fill it up now. So beware, especially those people that's out there that has this problem and you're about to retire. Whoa, that's when it gets real because you got a whole day you got to fill up now. So what you gonna do during that whole day? Alcohol for me went to another level once I retired because every day seemed like it was Friday. I didn't have nothing to do. I had nowhere I had to be. I had nowhere to go. So except when I had tournaments every month or every other month. So in essence, it was just drink, drink, party, party. And sooner or later that stuff catches up to you, man. And you like, yo, what's going on? But you don't know um what else to do because you've been doing this for so long. That's the scary part when it becomes regular. We don't know what else to do until we fall to our bottom, till we reach that bottom, and then we go through the steps, we find God and He reforms us, and then we remember how life was before we did this. I wasn't like this since before I went to college, man. I'm just reuniting with myself of the person who I was before I went to college. So it says, instead of trying to figure out how many we can handle, 4, 5, 6, a dozen, we remember just don't pick up the first drink. Isn't much so much simpler. The habit of thinking this way has helped hundreds of thousands of us stay sober for years. They're not lying, man. I just try to make sure that I got a schedule every day. I tell my kids this is so important, and they think Mr. Mike always talking to us about keeping a schedule. No, no, no. If you don't have a schedule of where you're supposed to be at all day, sooner or later that disease is gonna get you because it's out there doing push-ups while you sitting around chilling. So if you got too many days of just sitting around doing nothing, idle time is the devil's playground. So the devil is gonna be waiting for you. He's gonna be waiting, and he's super patient. He don't gotta come out and get you at first. He can just drop little hints. Drop little hints. You still want to hang around the same people, they're going to start inviting you to all these different places. At first, you're going to give in. I mean, first, you're going to say no. You're going to say no, but he's going to send them, and they're going to keep walking you down, walking you down, walking you down. If you're a man, that chick that you really like, she's going to be hollering at you, let's go out and get a drink. Once you meet me and my girls to go out and get a drink. If you're a girl, that guy that's going to be hollering at you, yo, me and my boys, we going to bring some bottles over. We just want to come over and chill. And that's how it starts. Next thing you know, you be like, man, just let me have one. It ain't going to hurt me. And then that's where it gets you caught up. Right back in the same boat all over again, picking up that first drink. And once we pick up that first one and it goes down, we start to tell ourselves, nah, man, it ain't going to be as bad as it was last time. I just showed that I didn't have to drink. And then we go through the same thing that they talked about earlier. You start off 1, then the next day you might go to 2, then 2 might be your thing for a week or 2, and then you go, I can handle 3. Then 3 might be your thing for a month, like 3 each day or 3 every other day for a month. Then next thing you know, you right back to where you was before you hit your bottom. But this time it's gonna be double. Like they told me when I left rehab the first time, when you come back, bro, you're gonna be drinking twice as much. And I laughed and said, y'all crazy. And they wasn't lying. I was drinking twice as much when I went back again. So we think this thing is a game, but it never stops. He is just Satan really uses this. That's why it's called spirits. And he know that if we found something that could change our mental state and flip us real quick. So when we going through things, the problem was I never wanted to feel. So this substance could give me where I didn't have to feel anything. I could numb myself. And I went to that instead of going to God. And Satan knows, all right, if I could keep him on this, he ain't gonna never go to God because he gonna try to control the situation himself. And that's how he got me caught. Doctors who are experts of alcoholism tell us that there is a sound medical foundation for avoiding the first drink. It is the first drink which triggers, immediately or something later, the compulsion to drink more and more until we are chinkling trouble again, or in drinking trouble again. More of us have come to believe that our alcoholism is an addiction to the drug alcohol. Like addicts of any sort who want to maintain recovery, we have to keep away from the first dose of the drug we have become addicted to. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, under all circumstances, do not let nobody talk you into compromising yourself, putting yourself in any kind of situation that might have you drink. I remember getting invited to weddings and making sure I drove myself so I could get out of there. I just had a wedding. My boy Munch just got married, had a beautiful wedding up there up the top of New Jersey by New York, man. And when I tell you he laid it all out, it was so much alcohol in there, so many drinks, so much food, all that stuff. And I knew I was a food addict, and an alcoholic. So I went there with my wife. We had a plan and we executed the plan to perfection. I remember we came in. I got my Impossible Burger, my sweet potato fries, got me a couple of Diet Cokes, and just sipped on there. Then we went out and chilled for a while. They had the wedding. Then after the wedding, they had the pre-reception. That's what I was talking about when I had the ultimate burgers and stuff like that. The pre-reception, and then they had the reception. But I knew I wasn't gonna make it to the main course, so I wanted to make sure that I got my picture with my boy, and I saw him do his first dance, his husband and wife. And then it was almost time for Bible study. They was about to rock to like 11:30. We got out of there at 8 o'clock. And I wasn't ashamed to get out of there at 8 o'clock because I made another day sober. It was so many basketball people in there, so many people I could have shared stories with. It was so much going on in there that I could have stayed, and I probably would have put my sobriety at risk because I would have started sharing stories with people, this and that. We would have started talking about the b-ball spotlight days, what was going on with everybody, and things of that nature. And then I would eventually probably I don't know, but I wasn't taking the chance. I make sure I got out of there. He understood because he is a brother that really loves me, so he understood that it was more important for me to save my sobriety for another day than it was for me to try to stick around and prove that myself and everybody else that I could be there and not drink. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting myself in that kind of situation. I'm getting up out of there. So it says we have to keep away from the first dose of the drug that we've been addicted to. Our experience seems to prove this, as you can read in this book, Alcoholics Anonymous, and in our Grapevine magazine. And you can hear from whenever AA members get together and share their experiences. I'm telling you now, if you want to have a shot at this, do those 12 steps, get that connection with God, go out and do service, and stay away from that first drink. It's the first one that'll cripple you. It's the first one that'll bother you, that'll take you down. And it ain't no joke, man. I pray everybody out there that's sober, please stay away from that first drink tomorrow. I pray that everybody's out there that's clean. Stay away from that first drug tomorrow. I pray that everybody out there that's struggling, that hasn't come to the point to understand that they have a disease yet, that the Most High puts it on their heart to understand that the best thing to do is to surrender to the addiction. When you surrender to the addiction, the Most High will grab you here and say, "All right, I'm gonna control this car from here. Move over to the passenger seat." And that's what I had to understand. I had to move over to the passenger seat and go do what I needed to do. You get what I'm saying? Like, let him control me, because it was obvious he let me drive for 44 years, and all I did was crash. I was not good at controlling my own life. I needed God to control my life, and he took over the keys and did everything he needed to do. So this is Mike. I'm going to thank you guys for coming on and listening to this 20 minutes about staying away from that first drink. Is so vital. And please don't try to prove that you could do it, or go around people. Places, and things are so important in this kind of situation, especially with this football season coming up. A lot of people are going to be gathering, and it's going to be a lot of drinking going on. You could watch the game at home, man, with your nice Dr. Pepper and chill out. Don't put yourself in that kind of situation and try to prove a point. It's Mike. Enjoy the rest of your night. Shalom.